The first time my wife laughed in my face, I thought she was joking. The second time, I realized the marriage was already over. It happened on a Tuesday night, one of those evenings that feels heavy for no reason. I had just come home from work, still wearing the cheap cologne I used to hide the smell of engine oil. She was sitting on the couch scrolling on her phone, her legs crossed like she was posing for an audience I couldn't see. "You're late again," she said without looking up. "I worked a double," I replied. "That's not my problem." There was a time she used to run to the door to greet me, a time when her voice softened whenever she said my name. Now it sounded like I was an inconvenience in her schedule. Still, I tried. For years I tried, because that's what you do when you love someone who keeps slipping through your fingers. But that night, something in her tone was different. There was an arrogance, a distance mixed with something like contempt. So I asked the simplest question a husband can ask. "Is there someone else?" She didn't deny it. She didn't cry. She didn't even look surprised. Instead, she laughed. A short, sharp sound. Mocking. Almost pitying. "You can't divorce me," she said, finally lifting her eyes from her phone. "My dad owns this town. You wouldn't last a week." That laugh, God, it did something to me. It wasn't the laugh of someone caught. It was the laugh of someone convinced I was powerless. All at once, every late night she brushed off, every secretive text, every sudden rush to girls' dinners, every empty excuse, they aligned like puzzle pieces I refused to assemble. I walked past her into our bedroom, shut the door, and sat on the edge of the bed. My hands were shaking. Not from anger. From realization. She didn't love me. She didn't fear losing me. She didn't even see me as equal. She saw me as disposable. And the worst part? I'd let her. The affair revealed itself slowly, like dust you only see when sunlight hits it. A misplaced bracelet in her purse. A text preview on her phone she tried to hide. A hotel receipt tucked between clothing tags. A sudden obsession with grooming she hadn't cared about for years. But the real gut punch came 2 days after she laughed. She left her smartwatch charging on the kitchen counter. A message flashed across the screen. "Your husband's still clueless? Should we meet at the cabin tonight? I stared at the message until the letters blurred. My jaw locked. I remember gripping the counter so tightly my knuckles whitened. The cabin was our wedding anniversary getaway spot. A place that used to smell like cedar, candles, and promise. The place where she cried into my hands and said she couldn't imagine a life without me. Now she was using it with someone else. I didn't smash the smartwatch. I didn't scream. I didn't confront her. I just went cold inside. For the first time in years, I stopped blaming myself. That night, while she giggled on FaceTime in the bathroom, thinking I couldn't hear, I sat in the living room with my laptop and drafted divorce papers. Plain direct legal. More real than anything we'd shared in months. But I didn't file them. Not yet. I wanted the truth to come from her mouth. I needed to hear her betrayal spoken, not just seen. So the next morning I waited until she was halfway through her makeup routine, when she was most confident, most untouchable, and I walked in holding her smartwatch. Her eyes flicked to it in the mirror. Just 1 millisecond of panic. But I caught it. "What's this?" I asked. She didn't even try to hide it. "You read my messages," she snapped. "So it's true." She shrugged. "Grow up. People cheat." She said it so casually I felt something snap inside me. "How long?" "A few months." "A few months." She rolled her eyes. "Don't make this dramatic. You're boring." He isn't. Boring. That word hit harder than the cheating. It meant she stopped seeing me long before she replaced me. The rest of the day passed like a fog. I went to work, lifted tools, nodded at customers, but my mind wasn't there. I kept replaying her voice, her laugh, the arrogance dripping from her words. "My dad owns this town. You wouldn't last a week. You're boring." She thought I had no choice. She thought she was untouchable. That night, after she fell asleep scrolling through Instagram next to me, I got out of bed quietly, drove to the sheriff's office, and handed over the digital evidence I'd collected from her smartwatch and phone backups. Messages, call logs, photos. Not to report her affair. I wasn't petty enough to criminalize personal betrayal. No, I wanted something else. Her lover too was Thomas Viller, the son of the same businessman who'd been illegally dumping waste near the river. Something the whole county whispered about but no one proved. Except now they could. Because Thomas wasn't very careful with his messages. Especially the ones bragging about disposing barrels at the cabin. The same cabin he took my wife to. The sheriff didn't know about the affair. I didn't tell him. I didn't need to. I just handed him what he needed, nodded, and walked out. My hands weren't shaking anymore. 2 days later, everything collapsed at once. Police cars outside the Villa estate. Local news vans gathering. Investigators at the riverbank. And Thomas, her affair partner, being let out in handcuffs. My wife found out through social media. She gasped so loudly I heard it from the hall. "He had nothing to do with you," she screamed, storming toward me. "You ruined him. You ruined everything." For the first time she looked afraid. Good. I reached into my bag and pulled out the divorce papers she once mocked. "I didn't ruin anything," I said calmly. "He did. You chose him. You chose all of it." She grabbed the papers, her hands trembling, her voice sharp with hysteria. "You think this scares me? You think I'll let you leave? My dad. Your dad doesn't own me," I cut in quietly. "And he doesn't own the law. Not anymore." She froze. Maybe she finally understood she'd lost every weapon she thought she had. I walked past her, opened the front door, and paused. "You laughed at me," I said without turning around. "But I'm the one walking away." And I did. Her sobs followed me down the driveway, but they felt distant, like echoes from a house I'd already burned down. It's been 6 months since I left. I'm living in a small apartment above the garage at the shop. It smells like gasoline and fresh coffee. It's mine. Sometimes I think about her laugh, the one she used like a knife. But it doesn't cut anymore. If anything, it reminds me of the moment I finally stood up. People in town still whisper about the scandal, the arrest, the divorce. Let them. I sleep well now. Better than I ever did in that big, cold house. Because the moment I handed her those papers, I didn't just end a marriage. I reclaimed myself.